Happy 250th birthday, America. I want to take a few minutes today, not to give you a history lecture and not to talk politics, but to tell you why I built Beacon the way I built it. Because the reason is older than this company, older than me, and it goes back to a decision our founders made 250 years ago that most people have never noticed. When Thomas Jefferson sat down to write the Declaration of Independence, he had a choice. The popular political philosophy of the time, John Locke's framework, the one that shaped most of the colonial conversation, used the phrase life, liberty, and property. That was the standard. That was the expected language. Jefferson didn't write that. He wrote life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That was not a poetic flourish. It was a philosophical declaration. Behind those two different phrases are two completely different ideas of what a human being is and what an economy is for. In the Locke framework and in the economic tradition that followed it, a person is essentially a consumer, a unit of demand. The measure of a good economy is how cheaply you can acquire things. The measure of a good life is how much property you accumulate. Our founders rejected that. They said the measure of a life and the measure of a nation is not what you own. It is what you can create. The pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of that highest human activity, to discover, to build, to produce, and to leave the world more developed than you found it. That is the American system. And for most of the 19th century, it was the operating principle of this country, a bias toward producers over pure consumers. The idea that a nation lives or dies by its command over the physical world, not just its command over a balance sheet. Then, in 1901, that entire framework was quietly buried. For 125 years, we were handed a different set of ideas and told that was just how economies work. We started measuring success at the checkout counter instead of the factory gate. We offshored our manufacturing, hollowed out our towns, and called it efficiency. The people who paid for that efficiency were not the people who designed it. I am not here to relitigate every policy decision of the last century, but I am here to tell you that the principle underneath all of it, the idea that a nation of consumers is fundamentally different from a nation of producers, is the same principle that shaped every decision I made when I built Beacon. We do not build on rented land. We do not wire our infrastructure into platforms that can be switched off by a vendor, a terms of service update, or a government directive. We own our servers. We run our own tools. We build systems that belong to the people using them. That is not a technical preference. It is a philosophical one. It is the same argument Hamilton made about manufacturing. It is the same argument Lincoln made about the dignity of producers. It is the same argument that is now, 125 years later, finally coming back into the mainstream conversation because we have spent long enough learning what it costs to forget it. The builders I work with at Beacon are not passive consumers of someone else's platform. They are producers. They are people who understand that real leverage comes from owning the infrastructure, not renting access to it. They are people who want to build something worth handing forward, not just a revenue stream, but a system, a legacy. That is what this country was designed to produce, not consumers, builders. So today, on the 250th anniversary of our independence, I am not just celebrating the political freedom our founders secured. I am celebrating the reclaiming of the economic philosophy they embedded in those four words, the pursuit of happiness. We are not here to accumulate. We are here to create. If that is how you think about your work, if you are building something real on infrastructure you control, with a vision that outlasts you, then Beacon was built for you. Happy birthday, America. Let's get back to building.